Hi, I'm Kay Gruner. I'm a lawyer, and this is the Weekly Tea. I'm going to talk about some recent creator tea as well as some legal insights to help us all make good business and legal decisions online. Today's tea, it is about a pending legal case that we all need to follow. It could have major consequences for how we talk about others online. Let's get into it. So on January 8th, 2024, a man named Nikko sued a bunch of companies, including Facebook, as well as 27 women as individuals for a variety of legal accusations, including defamation, doxing, and invasion of privacy. Here's what we know. A number of these women posted comments about him in a private Facebook page called Are We Dating the Same Guy? And included his photo and name, and not so nice commentary about him. Now, these groups self-proclaim to be a space for women to share their personal opinions about men that they've dated, which maybe gets a little gossipy at times, but it seems that all in all, this serves to essentially warn other women about potential red flags. In this case, they said things like he bragged about his money, that he ghosted after hooking up, called him clingy and psycho, a variety of comments that overall painted him as a jerk and full of red flags, at least for dating purposes. Now, he could have just let it go or looked inward and treated women better, but instead of doing that, this guy decides to, in essence, show just how much of a jerk he can be and file a legal complaint against them to a court in Illinois. He claims that the women and the websites violated the law by engaging in and creating a space for, among other things, defamation. He comes out swinging, saying that the defendants specifically intended to cause him harm, and that their conduct in the Facebook group, and I quote, so outrageous in character and so extreme in degree that it is beyond all possible bounds of decency and is to be regarded as atrocious and utterly intolerable in a civilized community, which in my opinion is overly dramatic and unnecessary for proving his legal claims. But anyway, he said that they knew that the accusations they were making were false. Can't wait to see what proof he has for that. The law firm representing him also said that it was a systemic attack against his reputation. So big man is making big claims against these women for their behavior online, but does it hold any water, legally speaking? Let's just look at one of those claims. Defamation. Under Illinois law, the 4 elements of a defamation claim are publication of a false statement done with negligence, which results in harm to the plaintiff. So all 4 elements have to be proven in order to win a defamation case. So breaking it down, the plaintiff needs to prove 1, that the defendants, in this case, the girls that posted about him, made false statement about the plaintiff. So if he can prove, for example, that he didn't ghost the girl after hooking up or didn't brag about his money or isn't clingy, then I suppose he could show it to be false. Number 2, the false statement was published to a third party non-confidentially. So in this case, yes, the comments were published, and even though the Facebook group was private, it had like 80,000 members, and I doubt they have a CDA in place, so he could probably prove this element. But that's not all. He also has to prove, number 3, that the defendants were negligent in publishing those false statements. In Illinois, negligence requires that the defendant either 1, knew that the publication was false, so blatantly lying, knowingly lying, or 2, believed the publication to be true, but lacked reasonable grounds for that belief. If the girls were actually making things up about this man, it could probably be negligent. On the other hand, if they were stating true facts about their actual interactions with him, then it likely wouldn't be negligent. Number 4, lastly, the plaintiff must prove that the negligent publication of the false statements damaged the plaintiff, harmed the plaintiff. In this case, he's saying that he suffered emotional distress, humiliation, damage to his reputation. Apparently, he also lost a business deal. He may be able to prove that he was harmed by the comments that were made about him. Reminder, all 4 elements have to be proven. And that's just one of the allegations that he brought against them. He also claimed that they doxed him by including his personal identifying information, such as name and photo, which he says puts him in danger. They misappropriated his image to make money, which probably doesn't apply to the girls that posted about him, more the companies like Meta that benefits financially from using his name and likeness. But as you can see, there's a lot going on in this lawsuit, and if he wins on any of these claims, it could dramatically change the way we talk about others online. Okay, but back to the defamation claim. What about defenses? Say he does prove the 4 elements that I talked about earlier. Do the girls have any valid defense that can prevent them from being liable anyway? Welcome to the chat, the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. defamation. This amendment includes the right to voice opinions, criticize others, and comment on matters of public interest. In general, you can legally state your opinion of others. You can say that they're jerks or that they're stupid, even if these comments might hurt the person's feelings or damage their reputations. In this case, the girls could try to prove that they were simply sharing their pure opinions on things that really can't be proven as true fact or false. Personally, I'm grateful that I'm not dating, but I'm also curious to see how this turns out, because while defamation is a legitimate legal issue, there's also a legitimate public policy concern around the issue. As a society, we don't want to prevent people from sharing their personal opinions about their experiences, such as dating, especially in the purpose of potentially protecting others or sharing safety concerns. We also don't want to let people make up blatant lies about others and spread them all willy-nilly. Also, just a thought, but at first blush, the evidence that this guy brings in his own complaint, in my opinion, almost cuts against him. Okay, so for example, after one woman posts about him, several others jump into the thread to confirm or say additional bad things about him. So to me, if the first gal was just making it up, why would others also make up their own stories about this guy in a private Facebook group? What possible motivation would they have? I would think it tends more to undermine him, seeing how now multiple women are agreeing and confirming with one another about his character. But we'll see what happens. This case is bound to bring more tea as it evolves, and I'm so here for it. But before we go, I have a bonus story that I want to share and tie it into this conversation on defamation. Recently, some tea came out about Mikayla Nogueira, a makeup artist and huge creator and influencer. I'll explain how she comes in, but first, there is a brand of self-tanner called Bondi Sands that has been accused by a small business owner of copying his business model and marketing strategy. The small business owner, Matthew Stevens, has a brand of self-tanner called Illusion Bronze, and his product is customized based on matching the self-tanner to the customer's eye color, skin tone, things like that. I'm not going to get into the details about whether they actually infringed or stole his IP in some capacity, but he claims that the big brand copied him, a small brand. So here's where Mikayla comes in. Matthew sends her a DM telling her about his issue with Bondi Sands and asking her to review his product. I think he also posts a video at this point doing the same thing, and his fans are tagging her. But either way, 4 days later, she reviews not his product, but the Bondi Sands product. At some point after that, Mikayla messaged him, explaining it was a total coincidence. She never saw his original video about the situation. She gets his number and they message a little bit. In these messages, Mikayla makes a big no-no, in my opinion, saying she would review his tanner and also confirms the same publicly in response to comments on her videos that she was going to review his tanner. At one point in her DM with him, she even says how she's going to a wedding this weekend and will review it tomorrow. So she does put a little bit of a time frame on it. Side note, there's likely no breach of contract here, and Matthew isn't claiming that, but I want to point it out for any of you who might be feeling like her messages could somehow be binding on her, legally binding as a contract. They apparently never agreed on material terms to a contract, let alone signed ones, so yeah, not a contract issue. Anyway, turns out she didn't review it, and Matthew feels like she's stringing him along. He checks in, and again, she says that she'll do the review. So he makes a no-no at this point, purchasing $10,000 worth of product in anticipation of this review that she's not really bound to do legally, but he took out a loan to do this. I'm kind of fuzzy on the whole timeline, but some months go by. Ultimately, he decides to bring the whole thing public and even accused her of lying to his face about using his product, showing receipts of their conversations where she says that she used his product, but then he claims that he knows she used spray tan and that his product would never look like that on someone. The public reaction seemed mixed, but overall, people are agreeing on two major things. Number one, he should not have relied on a DM with no contract in place and spent $10,000 on product unless he actually had money to do that. Number two, she shouldn't have promised him that she would do the review, now multiple times. Ultimately, she apologizes publicly, but called him out for lying about her. She explained that she makes maybe 2 tanning videos a year, and she said sorry. She told him that she would do it and then wasn't prompt about it. She just ran out of time the first day, and she doesn't wear self-tanner that often, so she came up with her excuses. I honestly breathed a sigh of relief when I watched her apology video because I think that she may have had a case against him for defamation. I think it was so careless and risky of him to drag someone as powerful as Mikayla Nogueira, not only sharing his opinion of her, which, as we know, is fine, that's not defamation, but taking it a step further and making up an actual lie about her, knowing, or at least reasonably knowing, that it was false. That's risky, and I do not condone that kind of behavior from business owners or creators or anybody online. So, my final thoughts and some key takeaways here. What can we learn from the tea as creators on the internet? First, be careful about what you say about others. Make sure it's only opinion based and don't get out of control with making actual allegations that could be proven as objectively false. In the first case, calling someone clingy, I think that would be fine, but calling them a psycho, that might not be up to opinion. That's somebody's medical condition. That seems careless and potentially could bring on liability for something like defamation. In the second case, calling somebody out for being flaky and failing to keep a promise, that's probably fine. But lying, claiming that they lied to your face and saying that you know they use spray tan when you don't actually know that, could be a case for defamation. All right, that's it. Let me know your thoughts on the tea that I spilled today, defamation law, or any other legal questions that you might have about these situations. I'm happy to dive into that in a future video. Also, quick note, quick disclaimer, I am a lawyer, I'm not your lawyer, and none of this is legal advice. Have a great day. Bye.